I'm Seb Dworkin. I work at Trobe University in Melbourne, and my work is largely funded by Craniofacial Australia, who are really a very special charity who do exceptional work in making lives better for children affected by craniofacial conditions and their families. And without their critical support, we would not be able to do the important groundbreaking work that I'll be telling you about. Would you believe that at the moment we don't know what causes about half of all craniofacial malformations or craniofacial differences? And so what my group is trying to do is try and uncover some of those mysteries by investigating the genes that are responsible for these differences in development. So one thing, for example, we've been working on is trying to understand how vitamins and minerals and changes in diet can impact on embryo formation. If I was to say to a mum, here, take this medication that I've developed during pregnancy, they'd be hesitant. If they can make small changes, for example, we already know that things like folate are important and iodine. What excites me is trying to identify the next beneficial, healthy vitamins that we can get from our diet to again improve the start of life for our children. And we also study relatively more common conditions such as cleft palate, which is a gap in the roof of the mouth, and a condition called micrognathia, which sounds a bit complicated, but all it means is a small jaw. If you only remember one thing about your donation, know that it is directly impacting the lives of hundreds of people. It directly funds critical experiments, it directly pays for our wonderful researchers, and it helps fund student projects to not only help them develop their careers, but for them to get passionate about craniofacial research and then take that information with them as they start on their own lives. Way back when I first started my work following my PhD, I was actually more interested in the formation of the brain and the cells that form the brain. But when I was using one of my models, normally the brain develops at 24 hours. But one day it was a Friday and I thought I'll just wait a few extra days and see what happens. Now the brain develops in 24 hours, but the craniofacial skeleton doesn't start to form until about 4 days. And so I thought I'll just leave this over the weekend and I'll come back on Monday and have a look at it. And I had a look, and to my incredible surprise, I found that the whole lower jaw was missing. And I thought, this is incredible. Why has this happened? It was a very unexpected finding. And it really has set up my research career from that one moment, because the more I investigated, the more I realized that other people had also seen that this gene that I was working on was involved in formation of the face. And so that was about 15 years ago. And since then, I've just been fascinated by how the pieces of the puzzle that make a face fit together and how the genes, the master regulators, actually control this. The more I got to know people at Craniofacial Australia, the more I realized the impact and the need for the kind of work that I'm doing. A previous research grant I had from Craniofacial Australia allowed us to do some key work that found that the way the palate closes, as well as the neural tube, which is the tissue that makes up the brain, the way that closes, was that the genes involved in both these processes were actually the same. The work in my lab will directly go straight to the doctors who are dealing with families. And the better informed that the doctors and the genetic counsellors are, then obviously the more comfort and support they can provide for families. So ultimately, that is my goal.